One Question is designed to give subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences.
Greetings, this is Ty Brown and welcome to One Question, where we highlight executive leaders in college athletics. Our guest today is Dell Robinson. Dell is currently a search associate and he leads the athletic practice at Spelman Johnson. Greetings, Dell. Thanks for joining us today.
Greetings, Ty. It's a pleasure to be with you here this morning.
Now, Dell, of course, you're working at a search firm, and the search firm helps to identify and cultivate leadership in higher education. But prior to joining, you have over 25 years in experience in college athletics. I'm going to name off a couple of things here. You were the former commissioner of the Great Lakes Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, the associate commissioner of legislation and governance at the Mid-American Conference. You were the assistant commissioner at the Western Athletic Conference, and you also spent some time at the Southwestern Athletic Conference. So you have a wealth of leadership experience. And of course, working in the conference office, you get to know a whole lot of people. So you probably have plenty of relationships. Can you talk to us about how that span of experience in those different conferences, different levels of the game in college athletics has helped to shape your career to get you to where you are now?
Definitely. It's been a blessing to be involved in college athletics and with the conferences that you named off. People often tease me to say that if it's got an acronym, I possibly could get a job and get hired. If you flip the letters up and down, they all change, but I could continue to go on and hopefully it made an impact along the way. Conference work has been good. I started off with a thought process towards wanting to be on campus, and I fell in on the conference side, and what it provided to me was just a wealth and a broad array of experiences and institutions. What it does provide for you is it provides for you various institutions, whether they be public, whether they be private, whether they be HBCUs. And so over time, I've been able to gain that experiences through those four conferences. And when you drill down a little bit more, you take a look at the individuals that you meet or you interact with, it probably would drill down to probably a little bit over 56 athletics directors, over 60 presidents, and that same numbers would go on for your faculty athletics representatives and senior women's administrators. And I can't tell you the number of student athletes and SACs and individuals that have matriculated later on into becoming in the athletics enterprise now that they work in institutions. So that's what a conference will definitely do for you in comparison to the singular institution. But it's allowed me to have that breadth of knowledge and that breadth of individuals that I've worked with on various initiatives, proposals, and things of the like, grant work, interaction and interchange with the NCAA, and so on and so forth. So it provides a broad scope through working in conference offices.
Right. Well, you mentioned something which I think it could be kind of interesting. Over 25 years, you mentioned, you interacted with senior women administrators, deputy athletic directors, and senior associates and associate course, graduate assistants, student athletes. And some of those people you probably see now are athletic directors and people who are in positions of influence in college athletics. Tell me how seeing people who matriculate and grow in the profession, how does that make you feel, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. How does that affect your thought process on this whole college athletic scope and career enhancement thing?
I think it makes me feel outstanding. I'm an advocate for people, and if I can be a conduit to make their dream work, that's part of me being in the business, and it's a driver. It drives my passion. I can remember even in your instance when we met in Dallas a little bit and you told me of this idea and you wanted to do it and to see it come into fruition. To see some of those young men and young women now to pursue their dreams and to become ADs, and for me to be a mentor, advocate, or support them in some shape, form, or fashion, it kind of falls in line with my Spelman Johnson experience that oftentimes I'm proud that I can be a confidant, I can be somebody that what people would call upon in interview preparation or talking about an institution or should I take it, and those relationships built over time make me feel good that it's like I'm a part of that process. And for those that if had a dream at one time to be a part of the Power of Five, and they're a senior associate or something at the Power of Five. It's an extension of my happiness to see them there, looking at the fact that I've never been there, or my time there, maybe when I was, along the line of at the GLIAC and those big schools. Now it's even extended more, and I'm living vicariously through some of their experiences. And that's helpful for me, and that's fuel for my tank.
Right. Well, talking about Spelman Johnson, of course, you lead the athletic practice there, and I would imagine you are a tremendous asset to them at Spelman Johnson. Can you tell me how you use your experience and all your relationships in your current role at Spelman Johnson? And you might even start off and tell us a little bit about Spelman Johnson and what the company does.
Mm-hmm. Spelman Johnson has been around for about 30 years now in the higher ed sector, providing opportunities for leaders to grow and to gain positions in higher education. A foundational piece of our business has been in student affairs. There's been recreation work that we've done there, and there's new areas that are branching out now that we're gaining ground in diversity and inclusion, and vice president searches in that area, but been around for quite a while. And some years ago, Betsy Alden, when she sold her business of Alden and Associates, it was purchased by Spelman Johnson. And then from there, I was hired on. August will be about 2 years now. I thought with the thought process that a couple of things. I had a wealth of experience and relationships through the 4 conferences that you mentioned and the many miles traveled and meetings and everything. And I also brought advocacy for diversity and women. And those were 2 pinnacles and pillars of which Spelman Johnson prides itself on, of having a 40% placement rate for women and around 27 or so or more percent placement rate on the higher ed sector and otherwise for minorities. That drew me to the company, that's what I was about, and that's been something that I have pursued that's been a part of my DNA. And last year, the last couple of years, being in here 2 years, we're averaging about 70 plus searches a year. And we had our best year overall this year, where we had 7 athletic searches and 2 have been football searches in Division III. And you and I, as ex-football guys, love to, be in that realm of football. And as a former D2 football committee chair, this allows me to continue to extend that energy towards something that's very close to me as well as you.
Exactly. Well, can you give me a little bit maybe about the process of what you do? Say something comes open and the school contacts you and it's an athletic position, so they might come to you. Tell me what happens from there in terms of your role.
A couple of things. The impetus of why Spelman Johnson got in this business was the 70 plus searches. And what our belief was that after doing the vice president of student affairs searches, that we could also be retained if athletics reported to that individual that they might come back to say, I've been in this business now for 4 years. I'm the BPSA, and now it's time to do an athletics director search, and you place me. So how can we can continue this? We are known for having a strong processes, our timeline. We follow that very quickly. Once an institution calls us and they say they would like to seek a proposal for us, we turn that over pretty quickly in what we call a prospective letter. In that prospective letter, it has our services. It has the possibility of what we would do with timeline. It has the fees. It has terms and conditions of dealing with Spelman Johnson. We would request a time for them to have a telephone call with us. Those last between 15 or 20 minutes or so. We try to get a feel for the culture and what's going on. What was the issue with the past AD? What did they try to grow to be with this new leader that they're trying to select? From there, we set up a site visit. We spend about a day and a half on campus talking to stakeholders. We talk to stakeholders, that being from president to provost on down to student athletes, as well as community leaders that may be involved with their athletics boards and so on and so forth, alumni groups, to just get the feel for the culture, where they are and where they want to go. After doing that site visit, we come back, we write up 3 or 4 documents. One's the site visit summary, One's a position announcement, kind of like a job description, and then the other is a position specification statement. That's about 14 pages or more of information about the community, the institution, and athletics all together. It's about population of students, not just student athletes, what's going on campus, what they have with housing, org charts, soup to nuts. So if you're a candidate, we want you to have as much information as possible for you to be able to make the decision when you're going back and you're doing your reflection and talking with family and those that are important to you and significant others before you make the change.
Right. And then in-house, when you guys look at the candidates that from all your research, I guess you put in front of the institution 2 or 3 candidates. These are the people we found. Like that's the part I don't necessarily understand about how search firms work.
Step one is that we do what's called introductory calls. And our introductory calls is our initial vetting of the pool. We have been blessed that over this particular year, we've had great interest. And what I mean by that is that our pools have grown to be very strong. Some pools have grown to be over 130 people, some 70 people. And so that's great interest. We take that number of individuals and we say that we're going to have this introductory phone call. That's with me or another associate or me and the president. We've worked hand in hand this year quite a bit. In that introductory call of individuals, Ty, that should be around 14 or so people, maybe 16 if the pool is stronger or has more talent in it. We talk to those individuals one-on-one. We have talking points. From that process there, we get a feel for them to say, thumbs up, thumbs down. Do we take them? Do we make the recommendation for them to go to the next level? Our next thing, we return back to campus, what we call a pool presentation. We take those 14 and 16 and we say, hey, we'd like for you to take a review of these individuals. We send them the resume, the cover letter, and what's called a candidate detail form. That's more of an intricate enrollment and some other things about the institution. They get that information on those 14, 16 people, and it's a little bit of a debate. It's a spirited conversation. Hey, why do you like him? Why do you think he or she's good for the position? And since I know a lot of people, that allows me to talk to them more intimately on their passion, on their experiences, and so on and so forth. The university and the firm will grind that out. You'll come out of that with, let's say, it'll go from 14 to 8. They said, okay, with these 8, in a realm of a week or a week and a half later, the institution will do video, Zoom, or some form of interview, next round interviews. They would take those 8 and they'd slim it down to whatever their final number would be. That would be 3. I've seen 3. I've seen 4. At one time, 4 is the highest that I've seen. Those 4 are the individuals they bring to campus. Then we start to work with the institution on what campus is going to look like. Are they going to have open forum? Are they going to have Q&A? Are they going to be able to see locker rooms? Are they going to be able to see facilities? We help them shape that in a couple of days. They bring that individual in. After that individual kind of comes in, they get down to saying they would like to make an offer to whoever they feel is their favorite.
Whoever they pick.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely an interesting process. I assume that it's probably, there's 2 parts to the business aspect, right? Obviously, you're happy you got the search, right? To the bottom line, right? We get the search. But then when you actually get somebody placed and hired and to see it successful has to be rewarding beyond the bottom line, right, of a business. Like it's rewarding to see, to find a good fit and put somebody in place and it works out great.
It is very much so, because one of the things or advantages I might have is that the many commonplace conversations like you and I have, sometimes you know what people's wants and needs are. And what I mean by that, if they want a private school, if that aligns with who they are, it kind of, to see them in that place and being able to prosper and be able to do the day-to-day life's work is very fulfilling. And then after that, we're kind of involved and we do some checkups 3, 6 months, and then so on and so forth. And also we use a lot of the conference space, whether that may be NACDA or other conferences that we might be at, to sit down with them to find out how are things going. And so that allows us to keep a lifeline with those individuals.
Mm-hmm. Well, excellent. Well, Dale, this has been a great conversation. I feel like people have gotten some insight into you, what you've done and what you do now, and really the search process and how you guys operate there at Spelman Johnson. I really appreciate you joining us here on One Question.
Hey, I commend you, Ty, for what you're doing. Keep up, keep it going. And One Question is something that I've enjoyed learning more about. It's a vehicle and a tool, and I like your platform, and I hope it continues to grow.
Well, I definitely appreciate that. That was Dell Robinson. He is the search associate at Spelman Johnson, and he currently leads up their athletic practice. And this is Ty Brown with One Question. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today. This episode of One Question is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.